All right, here we are again, episode 5. Hey, Rob.
Hey, what's going on, Marc? How are you?
Good. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Really hectic week. Rocking a crazy Carhartt shirt. Pretty out of control. How was your week, Ben? What
Yeah,
do we?
so still working on training the chickens. They have become escape artists a bit. In that I have about a 5 foot fence that they have started every once in a while. I look in the backyard and they are just strutting around in the backyard, which isn't great because there's hawks and our dogs could go out there, and so I'm gonna have to be clipping some wings soon, I think. Although I've been reading, apparently you just clip one because when they go to fly and they go in a circle and spin around, that then they try to stay away from that.
You
So
can't just give them. You can't just give them really tight shirts.
it's next level. Yeah, or just little weights. Um,
Yeah, little vests.
yes. I did get little tiny microphones that I can clip on their wings if I want to you know, interview them.
Right.
Yeah,
Interview them. I love it, dude. User interviews for the chickens.
yes.
I actually we put a vest on our rooster because he was actually no, sorry. We did put a weird little vest on our rooster so he couldn't go so nuts.
Uh-huh.
Um, he was just like all the neighbors were freaking out, and it's not like it's fine for them. Like it was loose. It was and it didn't work anyway. We ended up getting vests or harnesses for the chickens because he would like mount them.
Hmm.
Really bizarre.
Rob, this is a family-friendly podcast here. Yeah. So
Fair.
we actually in our first batch of hens that we rehomed to the countryside because they were so loud. We actually tried. They make a little neck band. It's like a dog collar to keep them quiet. That
What?
I think works on. It's supposed to work on roosters. We were like, well, let's try it on a hen, and 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 it did not because their necks are they're really tiny. So to get something tight enough that they can't really crow, but like can still breathe and eat, it's a very fine line there.
That's so true.
It's
Dude, chickens are hilarious. I love their personalities. They're all so weird and like such little individuals. Like they're nuts. What breed are your? What species are yours?
well, they are chicken species, but they
They
are
are chicken species. I knew you were gonna
buff
crack me. I was
or
like, yeah.
yeah, they are buff Orpingtons, which are supposed to be the golden retriever of chickens. They common concerns are they are lazy, which causes them to become obese.
No way.
So that hasn't happened yet. That hasn't happened yet, but
We have American. We have like one of everything. We have like Americanas. We have like the chickens with the big fluffy legs. We have a bunch of different. I don't know all the different breeds, but we have a bunch.
nice. What's hot on your plate?
What's hot on my plate? So had a really cool walkthrough today. We're scaling one of my teams where we added a designer. So got to go through one of the Figma boards with them and kind of just explain all of the different reasons behind design patterns. And of course, you dive into like woulda, coulda, shoulda. Why aren't certain things automated? And it's just funny because I feel like you get to reflect on your velocity as a team. It's like we're moving so fast, so like we're just not automating things and things are sloppy. Like you always face that when you onboard a new team member. It's like, all right, how do I even like explain what we've all just been executing against?
Well, how are you doing it so, the take advantage of the whole beginner's mind where suddenly the new person, is able to sort of see things that, could be improved, just as many things that they ask, why are you doing this? And then you need to explain it to them because they do need to do that thing. And that does make sense for your group. But often they'll ask, why are you doing this? And you realize, oh, actually, because we accidentally fell into that pattern. Like how what are you doing to make sure you get, because they only have that, you can only get that from them for like the very first few weeks and such before they become just another one of the Borg. What are you doing to get what you can from their fresh eyes?
That's a great point. I think like by default, and this is like completely unintentional, we just need like more hands. So we're like, oh, cool, you have this background. Well, here's a thing for you to solve, and we're going to give you a high level overview of what the product's supposed to be and what some of these
Mhm.
components are. But and we're not, we went pretty deep in like the utility of the product, but we just didn't go overboard with it, and we're kind of letting them kind of tackle this really intense. piece, this really intense component that's going to tie a lot of things together. So I think like by default and unintentionally, they're going to get to provide their unbiased opinion of a better way to do something.
Hmm. And when this is the first person since when? When was the last time you brought a new person on board?
Ah, geez. For a product specifically, it's probably been 5 months. So yeah, we had a new product owner that came on that's just an absolute rock star. Really awesome, helping lead the team and stuff. And they're almost like, it's so funny because like product owners, product managers, some of them have like shadow archetypes. I've been doing a lot of Carl Jung reading,
Hmm.
and their shadow archetypes are always kind of designers. I feel like a lot of them like are product managers that have always really appreciated design. And in certain scenarios on lean, scrappy teams, they do product design. They might be the Figma holdover, the person who's like fleshing out concepts, but it's really cool to see. And like as a designer that also appreciates product management and product ownership, I encourage it. I'm like, dude, if you want to like take the design system and create concepts and just go nuts on some downtime or whenever you feel comfortable, we can't get sleep and you're up at night, like I'm all for it. I love that.
Cool. Now, how does that work though, in terms of how do you bill customers, or is this for your internal product team?
No, so this isn't tied to my company. This is actually the kind of mercenary band that's supporting one of the product teams. So it's like, 80% one company and then 20%, or I'd say 70% one company and then 30% just like ruffian mercenaries,
Hmm. Oh, okay.
product mercenaries.
Nice. So you posted on LinkedIn this week about balance and that balance is everything. Um, you talked about how it directly influences capacity management and that everyone needs to consider it. Like was that spawned by something? Were you seeing people out of balance or just
Was
what
that this
about
week?
that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was it? Oh my goodness, I can't even remember my own posts. There's so many different engagements and weird just like things I'm working on. It's funny because LinkedIn really is kind of a journal of mine.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I think balance is really important. And I think, there's balance is everywhere, right? Because anytime you like overcommit to one thing or another, something else somewhere else suffers. Like it's hard to describe, but like it's like too much of anything can create issues or weirdness or misalignment or just something that's just too much. And I'm trying to think of like really what was focused on that balance. I'm trying to think of that post. So it was around the point of like um just being spread thin, I think, and not just being balanced when it comes to kind of the way you're attacking certain problems. Like I'm just thinking through this right now, but it's like, you can capacity management is huge, right? So like if you aren't balanced or if you aren't kind of mindful or fluid about the way that you're executing and you're just
Hmm.
like going 125 miles per hour, freaking shift into drive and not stopping, eventually you're going to spin out the wheel, the tread on the tires is going to go, the engine's going to start to be broken and messed up. Like balance is just so important when it comes to quality, right? Because capacity management leveraging your capacity well increases your output. But if your output suffers because the assets that you're managing the capacity of just aren't performing as well or are weak or distracted or, scattered, whatever, it's all about like the outcomes, right? I mean, it's so like cliche, but it really is like your output doesn't matter if it's garbage. Or, if there's a threshold where your output just needs to be good enough, then it's fine. Like fire on all cylinders, whatever, just have 60% output for everything. And it's like gets you closer to your goal if it's more of like a widespread volume based goal. But yeah, it's all just being mindful of all that, right? And that's kind of what it all comes back to like project and product management. How do you instrument your capacity management? How do you
Hmm.
know when to go nuts and have people stay up to 2 a.m. and sacrifice and be weirdos and just burn hot and squeeze outcomes, and like maybe not have the most high quality stuff. It's all of that like instrumentation, and that goes back to the product slash product manager, product owner that we were talking about last time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I like you've got two axes on there. You have, not doing enough on one side and then doing too much, which is pretty obvious, but then below that, you've got another sort of way to think about it of, generate so, when you've slowed down, when you're not, technically someone might say you're not doing enough, but actually you've created the space to generate opportunities for the situation to evolve until there's a chance to execute. So I think that's probably you're getting with of like you might slow down, but suddenly there's an opening, and that's
Yeah.
when you're up till 2 in the morning. When the iron is hot, that's when you strike. When you've got the inspiration or there is that need. You can't do
Dude,
that
it's
all
like
the
sports.
time. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like sports. Save your like Hail Mary rock star play for
yeah,
when there's a rock star moment, right? And like just be strategic about when you do decide to turn those knobs on versus, some experiences we've kind of come across, I just know your background, my background, whatever.
hmm
Like you just dial the thing up to 100 all the time and it's like it's just not realistic. Burnout, sadness, like, bad culture, all of that stuff just starts to unfold. And that creates, ooh, Odin's yelling in the back, then that creates more expensive problems and weirder problems that you have to solve that have like more unknowns associated with them. But it's, yeah, 100%. I love, by the way, really quick,
hmm
breaking the fourth wall.
hmm
That design you're referencing was
hmm
like in between execution. Like I just had a Figma board open and I was
uh-huh.
like, I'm thinking about this thing and just like started to drag sticky notes on a screen I was already using to deliver. And I was like, that's how I journal. I straight up like LinkedIn journal.
Yeah, I love it. No, I mean, it's saying you can kind of see your thought process in it of, again, you started with the obvious, again, not doing enough, doing too much, but then you're like, wait, but slowness, again, gives you a chance to kind of scan the field and see where there's the opportunity. And then on the other end of the axis, you have remind yourself again, slow down, focus, and then deliver a game-changing solution. So there's that notion of look for where to strike fast, but then also give yourself the time to be like, what's the holistic way to approach this? Because yeah,
Yeah.
if you're always striking fast, you're just going to burn out. And then also, I think like we talked about last time of where it's not about people liking you while the big picture slowly fails. It's about, so you can't just keep putting the little fires while the big lava pool is still is going underneath. Like you need to do both. You got to control the fires on top, but if you don't have someone digging down to give the lava a place to flow out, or I guess the magma at that point, um, underground to be more geographically correct. Um, the no
Geological.
geologically
Right.
correct and
Dude,
English.
I love it. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
funny too because no one ever really like it's fun because you're also like I mean, I've learned a lot working with you in the past and like you're also a practitioner. Like even if we both end up in like enterprise leadership positions, we just always gravitate towards doing things, creation, activity, being involved or at least being aware of the people that are executing. It's fun, right? And you never really get to talk about how the sausage is made or whatever a better phrase for that is, but like when you think of like SpaceX or whatever, any of these big companies, SpaceX is great. No one other than like Elon Musk's opinions that are controversial, nobody is like, oh, I wonder how he's running Kanban. Like no one ever really talks about his processes unless you're like a process improvement kind of geek, that which I am. Like I know a little bit about like SpaceX's manufacturing novelty and stuff, but like no one
Mhm.
cares about that. It's just the fact that he can like continuously launch to space and like throw like interesting internet satellites all over the place.
Yeah.
People just care about the outcomes, but it's fun to see what activities are enabling those outcomes.
Yeah, no, that's a great point of like, you've probably read the Elon Musk, biography, which is great, but I actually would like to see a Elon Musk less book on SpaceX of, there are parts I'm sure that he's gonna be in the middle of and certainly critical before. But I don't know how critical he is to there now. But obviously he's not everything. So there is seems to be a pretty amazing company and process underneath and independent of him that would probably be a fantastic kind of tutorial and documentation of a wildly successful company in the sense of achieving crazy goals.
And those are the most interesting,
Right.
like those are the most interesting things, but even more importantly, those are the
Mhm.
most interesting people.
Right.
It's all of these like kind of like second, third in command, fourth in command, 10x multiplier that's on the
Yeah.
assembly line. whether it's software, manufacturing, whatever, that have the most interesting stories, that have the SOPs, the standard operating procedures and the playbooks like in their soul and their brains.
Yeah.
And those are the people that move these companies forward and like really enable ridiculous like novelty and the ability to create stuff. It would be so cool to come up like I'm just picturing like a really trendy title for a book where it's like, second in command or some other kind of term where it's
Yeah.
all about the doers, the
Like
enablers.
it called like It Will Be Done,
Yeah,
or something like that. Yes.
exactly. It was actually, really fun segue,
Hmm.
and go down this path if you want. But like, I was thinking about like who product managers are. So I like really, really cool peek behind the curtain really quick. So I'm working on a product marketing slash execution strategy with a partner that's focused on, I don't want to go too deep on it because it's kind of close hold right now, stealthy, but it's nuts. It's all focused on like doing more with less. I made a LinkedIn post about it semi recently, but I didn't
Hmm.
call anybody out or really point to anything. But it's all about doing more with less and leveraging eventually at some point both artificial intelligence and workflows and processes that kind of command and govern that artificial intelligence to get more out of your resources. And culture is a big part of that, right? Because you have to change the way people look at solving problems to get more out of these automation systems and to do real human machine teaming, like do it right. Um, so I was thinking about like product managers, and I think when you're in the software community specifically, but there's other communities that obviously have product managers, they just mean a little something different. It's very straightforward. If you come to a software company, you know what a PM's role is, a product manager's role, not a
Hmm.
project manager's role. And so like I really think it's there's I think everyone can benefit from the product manager role across every company type, whether you're like a recruiting organization, whether you're whatever, and like but product doesn't always kind of translate to these other industries or these other types of companies. And I was thinking of like execution manager, and I was just picturing this like really badass like executioner t-shirt, where it's kind of like the function of a PM where it's like you have capacity, you have resources, and you're trying to squeeze as much value out of every situation that you can while managing the risk or exhaustion threshold of your assets.
Hmm.
And so it's like this beautiful balance that they command. And it wouldn't just be product management. It's any execution expertise. And I really think that could get these companies or any company kind of away from this era of like quiet quitting, box checking, just work lethargy, where like the backlog is no crap the source of truth. And you have an execution manager that owns all of the risk. And it's that simple. It's like you produce taskers, you assign those taskers to assets. The level of communication and detail and transparency is up to the team, but like the backlog is the source of truth, and people are either building or they're not, whatever building means to
Hmm.
them.
I love that because again, just the double meanings there, like we talked about before, where people, again, people think, oh, the product manager or the agile coach or the project manager, they need to make me happy and whatnot. When, in many ways it'll be the same role that you're talking about, but I'm the executioner, damn it. It just subconsciously people expect, to be a little bit supplicant, and at a minimum aren't don't expect to be entertained by this person. That they
Yeah.
are there to get things done. Their job, they need you, there's this team that is coming together to do things, but yeah, there's an executioner, which is good. We should make shirts.
We have to make shirts.
Yes, podcast executioner shirts.
Executioners. Well, and you know what's funny about that role is like I
Mhm.
think it could go either way, right? Like just like any type of superhero, comic character, fantasy character, people can get outcomes out of their assets or their team or their people in a
Mhm.
variety of ways. Some
Mhm.
people, some team cultures, if you have a bunch of just like, I'm going to paint two really extreme scenarios. You have a bunch
Mhm.
of just like very, straightforward, eyes on the prize, killer engineers, and you have like a ruthless executioner manager who just knows that personality, and it's part of that new kind of team culture and hive mind to just be like, burn the ships, let's like raid the island, doesn't matter, we're just going to crush
Mhm.
everybody, and we're all aligned and have the same mentality. Like they can move really fast versus a PM that has that mentality, and then people that are kind of like, well, I got like 3 vacations to Cabo this year. I really care about like where my, daughter's going to school. Like, it's just certain things make personality archetypes unaligned. So it's so
Mhm.
powerful. And on the other side of the aisle, you can have just as much production, right? from a team that like has this like really endearing execution manager that has a different style, but they're surrounded by people that like are motivated by their love for them and not wanting to let them down. And
Hmm.
so you achieve the same outcome. It's like fear, burning villages, going hard in the paint on like the the software engineering side. And then on another software engineering team, you have like team love and connection and deep tissue. And everyone treats each other like a family. Like if I don't commit this code correctly or it's broken, it's not tested, I'm going to be stealing something from this like execution manager I love. They're my parent, you know, like two really cool approaches with the same outcome. Like
Yeah.
really, really great stuff.
Like a Viking in a tutu.
That's crazy, dude. But dude, people are so interesting. Team makeup is like nuts, dude. It's so deep. Like to get that right. And when you do get it right, it clicks and it's like you see teams just delivering like nuts.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's motivating.
Cool. All right. Well, we can wrap this up for today. Until next time, thanks, Rob. Great talking to you. We'll talk
Thanks,
again
Marc.
soon.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, I'll talk to you soon.